Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Our guest today is Kim Smith, Marketing Director at Heart of Appalachia. Recognizing the Coalfield Counties have a unique culture, history, and scenic beauty, the Virginia Legislature created the Heart of Appalachia in 1993 to tell that authentic story and promote this region as the exciting tourism destination it is. Now, focusing on exciting outdoor adventures and serene scenic beauty to promote Virginia's Southwest treasure. It is a pleasure to have Kim on the show to talk to us more and share more about the Heart of Appalachia. So Kim, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Fantastic. And, as I kind of shared just before we started, is I lived in Virginia for a very short period of time, maybe like 9 months on a project, and I was in the DC area. It never dawned on me that there's this entire state that I could have explored. And then here you are, and I forget how I found you, but the Appalachia is just such a fascinating area, and it looks like a very popular area for many reasons as a destination for tourism. So I'm wondering if you could first share a little bit about your background and how you came to be the marketing director for Heart of Appalachia. And then let's talk about some of those wonderful treasures that are in this geographic area.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that you say that you lived in DC for a short time, because I think your story is very typical. We do a lot of marketing in the DC region, and we get just an overwhelming response from the people who they're in the city. It's hard to get in and out of the city. And then just 5 hours away, there's this outdoor mecca where you can get away from the crowds, and you can get out and ride your bike, and you can rock climb, and you can hike. And I think the DC area is just finding out about us. So we're very excited about that. It's one of our hottest markets right now. As far as me, I grew up actually in the Appalachian Mountains in Southwest Virginia, near a town called Abingdon, Virginia, which many people have heard of because of the Barter Theater and the Virginia Creeper Trail. I now live in Russell County, which is an adjacent county, and it's actually kind of the gateway to what is referred to as the Coalfield Counties. Russell County is very agricultural. There are lots of family farms here that go back to the 1700s and that have remained intact and in the same families. So very agricultural county. Not as much coal in Russell County. It was just kind of, like I said, that kind of gateway county before you get into the main Coalfield counties. And then when you get over to Lee County, which is the very westernmost tip of the state, you really go back into that agriculture. So it's a very unique and really diverse area as a whole, that you go from kind of the open farmland to the very rugged mountains and the rocky gorges. And then you get back into the agriculture, very flat lands as you get back into Lee County, just over at the Cumberland Gap.
Okay. Now, Cumberland Gap, that Cumberland rings a bell for me, but the Heart of Appalachia, it was launched or it was chartered by the legislature back in 1993. What was the compelling reason of why was this a good idea? Can you speak to some of that?
I can. Historically, this has been a very predominantly extraction-oriented economy, with the extraction of coal, things like that. And with coal on the decline, the legislators realized that there was a very beautiful region here that was probably underutilized and underappreciated. And they formed Heart of Appalachia to market this region as an outdoor recreation destination. And the interesting thing that we have seen over, especially the last few years, is development on these previous coal mining sites. Like that, people think of the strip mines and they think of just a barren wasteland. But years ago, some people had the foresight to say, okay, once this land is reclaimed, we could reclaim it in a way that would create tourism and economic development. So one very good example of that is Southern Gap Outdoor Adventure, which is in Buchanan County. It is a large strip mine, and on it, they have created a network of off-road ATV trails called Spearhead Trails. And there's also a massive event center and wedding venue up there that's just absolutely beautiful. And just the flat land that was created from these strip mines is very unique in that area, because generally it's a very steep and mountainous area. It also opened the opportunity to reintroduce elk into Virginia, because the habitat that was created there in that area is prime elk habitat.
Okay.
So the Breaks Interstate Park, which is one of the United States, one of two interstate parks in the United States, is jointly managed by Kentucky and Virginia. They were front runners with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation in this restoration project, and they actually do tours now. So you can go to the Breaks, you can stay in a cabin by the lake, or you can stay in one of their lodges, or you can camp because they have a great campground. There's a lot of hiking, there's zip lining, there's paddleboarding and kayaking, and they will also load you up on a van and take you into this restoration area where they have a 100% success rate of seeing elk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so often it's the sons and daughters of the coal miners who are front runners in these restoration opportunities. So it's really heartwarming to see that, them giving back to the land, and while still paying homage to the coal heritage, and this area does a very good job of that, but also the ability to look forward and say, here's how we now give back to the land.
Right, right. It's not lost on me that, well, first, whatever the political position of coal is, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Coal, in the extraction of it, cultivation and extraction, does a lot of not so good things to the land. And
Right.
when it is not viable to extract it anymore because the economy is the economy's changing. I love the fact that it was rediscovered as a resource for restoration and reentry of a lot of the species, the birds, et cetera. And especially that the individuals who are local, the sons and the daughters, the grandkids, yeah, they may not be working in the coal mines or in that business, but now they're working in a new industry, which really is a phenomenal industry, because you get to invite people into your backyard and say, this is what we have to offer. And I think that is certainly not lost on me. And I love that.
Right. Oh, yeah. And you kind of mentioned about what people say when they leave here. We recently had a first annual bluegrass music festival, and we had a lot of major bluegrass names at this festival. It was very impressive for a first annual one. We had people from all over the United States. We had visitors from Canada. We had visitors from, I think, 2 other countries that I can't recall right now. But the biggest feedback I got, aside from the gentleman who was closing on a house because he fell in love with the area and didn't want to go home, was the friendliness of the people, and just how welcoming the people are and how happy they are to see people come and enjoy the region.
I love that. I love that. You just mentioned this gentleman that's buying a house because he didn't want to leave. A friend of mine that I went through coach training program with, Karen Martin, she and her husband live in the area, and I don't know if it's exactly in Southwest, but I know there's a lot of wineries like this wine trail. So I guess I'm curious, as I'm learning more about this area when I'm doing my research for the show, are there wineries up in this area?
We do have wineries. We have 3 in fact.
Okay.
We have Vincent's Vineyard, We
Okay.
have one major one we have is actually Mountain Rose. So
Okay.
talking about the coal heritage, and I don't want to keep harping on that, but this winery, Mountain Rose, it's also located on reclaimed coal lands. So this strip mine has been reclaimed and turned into a winery. And they also do cider. They're members of Harvest Host, if you're familiar with Harvest Host,
Hmm.
where people who have like all-inclusive RVs that have the restrooms and everything, they can actually go park there overnight and stay and enjoy the winery and the vineyards and the products they make there. And so we actually have an initiative that ties all of these together along with a distillery we have. It's called Spirits of the Clinch, and that is referring to the Clinch River, which runs through the region.
Okay. Okay. Well, I am definitely going to reach out to my friend Karen and say, this is in your backyard. Do you know about this? Because I am contemplating moving out of Las Vegas. And so my friend was saying, you have to come to this area. And but now that I know more about the Southwest Virginia, now I'm really intrigued. So I'm curious, what is the overall responsibility of the Heart of Appalachia?
We are a marketing organization. So our main mission is marketing the region and its tourism related businesses. In doing that, we form a lot of partnerships. One of our partnerships is the Breaks Interstate Park. We work very closely with them. We also have, this region is very blessed with curvy mountainous back roads. And out of one of those back roads, a gentleman named Larry Davidson, who had gone off into the Army and experienced a lot of different things. And he came home from all of that. And what he really enjoyed doing was getting his motorcycle out and riding this particular road. And he was another just really forefather of tourism in the region because he realized that this road had value to the motorsports industry, the motorcycles and the sports cars. So he went to the state of Virginia and actually got this road designated as Back of the Dragon, which is a motorcycle route, Route 16. It runs from Tazewell, Virginia to Marion, Virginia. It has 438 curves over 32 miles. And the motorcycle riders absolutely love it. They come from all over to ride this road. There's a welcome center that has been added to it within the last couple of years, a huge welcome center. And it's just really a great addition to the area. So
Wow.
they're one of our major partners. And, but you know, we do everything all the way down to just meeting one-on-one with business owners who may not know a lot about marketing themselves and working with them on social media marketing, on their websites. I really view us as a down in the trenches kind of marketing organization. We really like to help those individual businesses.